And you tell me when we're good. Are we live over there, Daniel? We are live. Everyone, I'm so excited. If you could tell that we're in the office here today, but it looks like I have a co-host here today with me. This guy that you're going to hear from today, let me just give him a little bit of an introduction. Let me give you guys an introduction to his story. This is Leoncio Heredia, right?
Yes.
And this is Leon real quick. Some of you are going to look at this guy right now and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, like why are you putting these guys up here that are all in great shape and stuff like that on Rewriting My Story with Dr. Mondo? I thought this was a weight loss show. So just to give you proof, because some of you won't believe me, that's Leon right there too. Leon, how long ago was that?
2015.
2015. That was 3 years ago. That was Leon, okay? So you guys believe me now? Some of you are just logging on. This is Rewriting My Story with Dr. Mondo. And if you've never seen this show before, let me explain to you what this show is all about. You're going to see this transformation right here. And you're going to see this before and after photo of Leon. And you're going to say to yourself, like, man, that's something like-worthy. Like, you probably get a lot of likes when you share photos like that, right?
Oh, yeah, weight loss photos.
There's a lot of likes. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have a lot of love for this man tonight when you hear the story behind the before and after photos. The goal of this show is to give you the real story behind the scenes of what happened in the before and after photos. Some of you know that weight loss is tough and challenging. Some of you are tuning in tonight because you might identify more with this side of the photo than that side of the photo. And I'm telling you, look, weight loss is hard. There's no doubt about that. But we also know, and as Leon knows, keeping it off is pretty hard too, right?
Yes, it is.
You think it's which do you think is harder?
They could be equally the same.
Yeah,
right?
they're both really, really difficult. But there's a story behind all of that. And if you just judge this man by his viral photos of before and after, you would be missing so much about the empowering story about the man that's sitting across from me right now. And so what this show is about is this show's an opportunity for you to hear the untold stories behind the before and after photos. I'm going to show you one more time in case you're logging on here on Facebook. But again, we got some people on Instagram right now who are logged on to. Again, this is my social proof that the man that's talking to me, I know when you look at him, you think this is just a guy who's probably been, fit his whole life. This is your social proof that he gets it, he understands. So for those of you tuning in tonight looking for some inspiration, those of you tuning in tonight looking for some hope, those of you tuning in tonight saying, I don't even have any hope or any inspiration, I'm just looking, for an entertaining story. We have all of that for you and then some. Tonight we're going to take your questions. What we need from you is this though. I said it last week. Let's beat this algorithm, okay? Facebook wants us to show cats swimming in sinks, and they want to see like ridiculous stuff. That's what Facebook wants to go viral. But we want the real stuff like this to go viral. We want someone's life to be changed tonight. We want to inspire someone by Leon's story. So do us a favor. The only way that happens is if you like, love, wow, all that stuff. That would be great. But more than that, share this. If you find this to be an inspirational broadcast, you think it can help someone, share this broadcast right now. It'll help that algorithm get beat, and we'll get more people to hear Leon's story. So with that, again, in case you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Mondo. I'm a licensed therapist, and this is my office. We're not doing therapy tonight, but this is my office, and I specialize in helping people who've gone through weight loss transformations, and I want to help them tell their stories. So with that, Leon, we're going to kind of first start with where you're at today. So I know it's your 3 years post weight loss, but what are you up to right now? You're a plant-based chef. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a plant-based chef. I make a lot of meal preps for people to help them lose weight. Since I've lost weight, I helped 400 people lose weight with the meal preps I offer.
400 people?
400 people in Sacramento and the surrounding areas. Anywhere between anywhere between 2 pounds to I had a kid lose 58 pounds.
Wow.
My wife lost 40 pounds on him.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the things that I know in your story, we'll talk more about the details of your transformation, but you didn't always start off plant-based. Like that was something that happened along the way?
Yes, that's something that happened along the way.
Yeah, what motivated that?
A lot of people were asking for plant-based food. I was already eating like 90% plant-based, and when they asked for it, and I started cooking it, I just started realizing it was making me more creative as a chef. And animal protein at the time, it still does. It was stinking to me. You know, I was dealing with so much. Raw meat. So if you go to a warehouse and you have to deal with a bunch of raw meat and blood and stuff that stinks, it's gonna turn you off too. Mm-hmm. Now the people who don't deal with that, you know, they won't realize that. Like, you know, I'm not gonna judge no one for eating animal protein.
Yeah, but like you're saying, there's distance, and I know that too, because, and again, I always say this every week. Those of you who've tuned in know that I'm plant-based. Those of you that know me probably know that I'm a little evangelical with the things that I'm really all about. I'm not trying to convert you tonight, I promise. There's going to be no plant-based altar calls tonight. But what I will say is this interview is not going to be all about plant-based, but we are going to lead off with that. One thing I'll say to that, Leon, is that distance, man, like there's comfort in our distance. Like it's easy to eat chicken nuggets when we don't know what's actually in the chicken nuggets, but then we start seeing what gets ground up to make those chicken nuggets, and it's kind of like, I don't think I want that. And I think that's what you're saying too, is that when people start to remove the distance and they actually go to the places where these animals are getting slaughtered for us to eat, there's something foul about that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. So again, he's a plant-based chef right now, and one of the things that we'll do is we're going to talk about his story and how he got here. But I do want to also give a big plug to the fact that there are so many of you out there right now that you want to eat healthier or you want to eat plant-based, but the biggest obstacle for you isn't head knowledge, it's actually doing it. There is someone right here who's dedicated his life right now to paying it forward, which is one of the stages of transformation we talk about in this program. And he's willing to help you. Like, you could be one of the 412 people that he helps lose weight. So, and not just lose weight, because you'll hear tonight about his story. It's more than weight loss. But again, we're going to drop links in, and I've tried some of his food. What did you cook last week? You cooked those plant-based enchiladas?
Yes. I cooked plant-based enchiladas, and they had roasted corn.
We'll kill that one real quick. Yeah, roasted corn. What else was in there?
Roasted corn, spinach, zucchini, red onions, and it had a chili rojo sauce on top.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Sesame seeds, parsley,
amazing,
beans and rice.
Yeah. So this guy cooks some real food, and it's real healthy too. It gives you the ability to achieve your weight loss goals, all that stuff. Anyway, all I'm saying is, if you're in the Sacramento area and one of your obstacles right now to getting healthy has been you feel like there's not an option out there for you in terms of meal prep, this guy can help you out. So I want to throw that out there. But really what everyone knows is that each week when we do these stories, I want to go back to the starting point. So that's what we're going to do right now. Leon, take people back to not just, 3 years ago is when your life changed, but paint a picture for me of like, what was your day-to-day life like 4 or 5 years ago?
My eating a lot of hot and readies, drinking a lot of cheap vodka, Taka or Tamaroff, every day.
Every day?
Every day. I mean, $5 for a pizza, that's cheap, right? And $3 for a little pint of vodka. I would do the same thing every day. If I didn't get pizza, I'd get like cheeseburgers. I lived right by a Burger King, Little Caesars. I lived right by a liquor store, so it was pretty easy. Literally every day, that's all I would do. It's the only thing that made me get up.
The only thing that made. And how long? Like, did you grow up as an overweight kid?
Yeah, actually, I did. I grew up chunky, and then I lost weight. I lost 100 pounds when I was 15.
Really? How did you do that?
Being active, playing basketball, skateboarding, running.
Right.
Being active. And then when I got to like 19 and 20 again, 19 to 20, I started gaining weight. I started drinking a lot. Drinking the cheap vodka, eating a lot more, being lazy, smoking, So the weight just eventually just got put on.
Okay. So the weight came back on, and then
more and
more. So when this turning point happened in your life, you were a kid that grew up overweight. How many people can relate to that? I know I'm one of them. You lost weight, you put it back on. How many people have lost weight and put it back on? I can relate to that too. But then fast forward to when you made this initial change to lose weight. Were you married? You had a child then? Or?
I had a child, but I didn't talk to my wife for 2 years. Not a hello, not a bye, not nothing. We got into an argument, and she was just sick of me. I want me to tell you what happened?
Yeah,
I can tell
absolutely.
you what happened led up to it. One of the main reasons was I got super drunk. I was watching my daughter with her, or she was at work, and I was supposed to watch my daughter, right? So I watched my daughter, but I ended up going to the liquor store, getting a pint of vodka. I got messed up off the vodka. I went back to the store. I got another pint, right? So I started getting drunk. Then I got some cocaine. You know, I did a gram of cocaine. I was on one. I went back to the store to get more vodka because I was, I had anxiety from the coke. So I started drinking more, and then eventually I blacked out, right? So I blacked out, and I had my daughter. She was 2 at the time with me, and I'm watching her. So I blacked out. I don't know what happened, but my wife comes home when she gets off work at 2 o'clock in the morning. The door's open. It's pitch black, and she comes and she sees me in the room laying down in my own piss, and my daughter's next to me in my pee. And she was so mad. She woke me up, you piece of shit. The next day, she's like, I don't want nothing to do with you,
Wow, how old was your daughter at that time?
2. And the real thing she got mad about, we lived on a lake. So the door was open. She could have walked outside and drowned on the lake. We lived in Green Haven, and there was a lake on her patio. So she was really mad. And, I did this multiple times before she finally left. She gave me many chances to change. I never changed, never took it serious.
When you, I know it sounds like you've told that story a lot, but, even as you tell that story, is it hard for you to even, connect with who you were at that time, or do you remember it pretty vividly?
No, because I remember it because I was more of that person than I am this person. So I still remember a lot of stuff. Some stuff I don't remember, but a lot of stuff I remember because, I guess I just remember it more.
When they left, I'm sure for you, it sounds like you would call yourself an alcoholic at that time?
Oh yeah, I was already an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. I can tell I was an alcoholic when I was young because all my friends would drink. Let's say we're 14 and we're drinking, I would just pound it, get messed up, and they would be like, "What are you doing?" They're trying to chill and have a beer or a shot of when you're drinking young. What do you drink? E&J, and I would just pound the bottle. And I come from a whole line of alcoholics. My grandma, my uncle was a good chef. He was alcoholic. He died.
So this has been going on for generations.
Generations, and drugs too.
Drugs too.
Yeah.
So, drugs, drinking. So at that point, you're addicted to. Are you just addicted to alcohol, or are you addicted to cocaine too?
Alcohol, cocaine, and then when you get cocaine, you get anything that can bring you down, right? When you're super on one and you want to finally get off, So then I got a little bit addicted to Xanax to come down. I would pound a whole bottle of NyQuil to come down, whatever to help me come down.
But it was all extremes in that,
always, never just like a shot. I would drink the whole bottle of NyQuil.
So it was all or nothing.
All or nothing all the time.
Yeah, all or nothing all the time. I know a lot of people who are watching right now can resonate with all or nothing. Even if you have never gone to the extremes of what Leon's talking about in his story with addiction, a lot of you probably know what it's like to be all or nothing with food. Either you're all in or you're all out. So was food the same way for you? You had the alcohol, the cocaine, the Xanax. Was food like one of those things where when you were, if you were going to eat pizza, you were going to go all in, right?
I'll tell you one time, right? I go to Little Caesars. I get 2 hot and readies. I tell my dad and brother, because I lived with them. Well, I lived on my dad's floor. So I'm going to go get us food, right? And I was pretty drunk. I didn't do no cocaine yet. I go to get 2 hot and readies, and we live, 7 minutes away. It's walking there and back. By the time I got back, I went there, I ate both hot and readies. They were so mad.
By the time, how long is that walk?
7 minutes. But I stacked them up. I remember I was, so gross. I just stacked up 4 slices at once. I'm
wow.
Eating.
Wow.
And I used to eat like that all the time. And, after that, I needed something sweet. So then I would go walk right back to the store, get some candy bars and stuff.
So you had these routines and these rituals.
Yeah.
That and it was it sounds like it was similar foods happening a lot for you too, right?
Yeah, it's always, the same food.
Similar food. So it was pizza. What else were your other?
Pizza, burgers, and then junk food. All junk food, I don't remember ever eating a salad drunk,
Right. Yeah, you don't remember that.
I wouldn't remember.
Anyone else be able to relate to that too? I'm going to have you over here. We're on Instagram right now, folks. If you guys are just tuning in, Leon, I'm going to have you can go ahead and adjust that phone, make sure everything's cool. He's going to get us set up over here so he'll ask to join if you want to just hit yes on the join. Again, guys, we are interviewing Leon right now, and we have a couple things happening. We are live on Facebook, and we are also live on Instagram. So as you know, the show always is on Facebook, but we're trying something tonight where Leon, how many people do you have following you on Instagram?
61,000.
61,000 people are following this guy. So he must be inspirational. Have they ever heard this whole story, though, before?
They've heard parts of it because I've been sharing it for almost since I first got sober.
Yeah, he's a great follower. What's your handle on Instagram?
@ChefBoyArleezy.
Yeah, so we'll put a link to that in there. But so again, what if you're just joining us now? What we're talking about is we're talking to Leon about his story, and again, it's as good a time as any for us to probably show one of these before and after photos, because I know you're looking at this guy and you're like, this guy's got no idea what it's like to be overweight, and I'm going to just show you that's where he started at. So, and he was just sharing a story right now, if you're just tuning in, of how there was addiction going on with alcohol, addiction going on with cocaine addiction, and it was all about chasing, modulating your emotions, or modulating your feelings. You were up and then you were down, and you were up and you were, and these food and these drugs were ways for you to alter your emotions in those ways. Did you realize that then, like you realize it now?
Not as much.
No, so you were just in the pattern of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I would stress eat, when I get mad.
Right.
So kind of, but not as much as now, I guess.
Yeah. So guys, we're setting the stage for something here. This guy sitting here is not this guy. So there's something that happened. There's a transformation that took place, and people often talk about that, like having this deep, dark moment of rock bottom. Did you have a moment where you were in the midst of that cycle? You lost your wife, you lost your daughter. Was there a moment in the midst of all this addiction that you were in where you're like, no, but like this was the moment where I knew I couldn't go any deeper, and that's when I realized I got to do something to change?
So actually it was my last binge, because I was drinking so I tried to kill myself so many times from alcohol and drugs.
Like you
right?
literally tried to kill yourself?
All the time, right? But I never really did it. I would, with alcohol, right? A few times I would have I had a gun, but I never did it, right? Because I was the alcohol talking. I mean, I went to the hospital. I'm like, I'm suicidal, and I would try to drink myself to death because I didn't have my family, I didn't have my daughter, because I was a loser at the time, right? I just drank, I ate, I didn't want to do nothing. But the last binge I did was like a 5-day binge, right? It was fueled by straight up the cheapest vodka, cocaine, bloody nose, doing cocaine, and then I went to the last day I was so fucked up, I kicked in my neighbor's door. I don't remember. I did some stupid stuff. My father was mad at me, right? I had to go to the ER because I OD'd on cocaine and alcohol. So they take me to the ER.
Wow.
I get to the ER, and I remember waking up right later. I wasn't pissed. But I woke up, and I had no clothes. All I had was a damn apron. What they give you, the bib or whatever. And then I had one sock. And I'm like, where's my wallet? Where are my clothes? I don't know where nothing went. So that's how they released me. And I walk out, and I'm just like...
They released you like...
Yeah, I had nothing. So, they're going to release you like that. They're not going to... I called someone to get clothes. I couldn't get no clothes. So, and I was getting released. So I got released. I took a cab home. Didn't even have no money for the cab. I thought I had money. Luckily, my neighbor was outside. She paid for it. I'm trying to jump the fence to get into my house, right? And this is after a 5-day binge, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Then heard from the mother of my child. She said that she didn't want me to see my daughter no more, which she never tried to do unless I get help, because she was like, you're just getting out of control. You don't. They couldn't trust me around her because I drank all the time. Right as soon as I got her, I would literally say, I'm not going to drink, and go straight to the store, because this is what we did every day when I got her. Go out, walk to this liquor store called Liquors, and buy a half pint of vodka. And I'd buy her beef jerky. I mean, I did this every day. It was, anytime I got her. And after, when I hit that rock bottom, I had like this vision of my daughter seeing me later on in life as being an alcoholic, like a drunk on the streets. And she just walking over me, like not even knowing who I am, just like, oh, that's my dad, he's just, don't even talk to him, he's drunk. Because I know some people like that. I play like a lot of sports with people, basketball people. I've seen a guy we hooked up. His dad was a drunk, and he did not even talk to him. That's my dad over there, and this dude was older, right? Didn't acknowledge him. And like that resonated with me. I remember that day.
So it was a vision you had in your mind, or like you went to sleep one night and you had a dream?
It was a vision I had.
You had a vision. So
yeah.
This vision around this time kind of comes into your mind of like, into the future of, this is where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm headed. And it was something about that mixed with that moment. I can't even imagine, man, walking out of the hospital. I mean, and how many times you endured situations where you woke up just confused, not sure what was going on. And so it was in that moment of that vision that So you thought, what, like, I need to get sober? Or, like, I'm not even hearing a whole lot about you being concerned about your weight or your health. Like, that's almost, like, on the back burner.
Well, I knew I wasn't happy with my weight or my health, but I was just like, I gotta get sober.
That was the number one priority?
Sober, and I had to get sober and lose weight. To me, they go together for me, right? If I don't do them both at the same time, I probably don't get sober or lose weight. At least for me. So I had to get sober, but I had to lose weight. But, I pretty much said they're 50-50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
here you are sitting in that point, and there's a lot of people right now that are sitting in a point where they go, I'm just trying to lose weight, and I'm tuning into this show, and I'm hearing about this guy who he's needing to lose weight. He's also got addictions going on to multiple things, including food and drugs and alcohol. You had a lot of things that were staring at you, including loss of family, being isolated. You touched a little bit on the stuff with work. And like, how is it that a guy that has that much staring at him somehow finds a way to create change? Like, what gave you hope?
Getting my family back. That's like what drove me. I just had to, my wife also moved on. She had a boyfriend. She was okay with my daughter. He was a good person to my daughter. She moved on. So and everyone's like, you're never going to get her back. But I just had this vision and this hope, like if I change my whole appearance and everything about the way I looked and what she knew about me, because all she knew for me for years was a drunk, belligerent asshole. So I knew that if I lose weight and change everything about me, got sober, she'd be like, it's meeting a new person,
But what were you tapping into there, like? Because you tapped into some sort of like willpower or drive.
Well, they drove me like all the time. I just had the vision of getting my family back. Like literally, it woke me up. I mean, I go to the gym 3 times a day. I wake up early and go to bed late. And if I wish I recorded it, people would be like, "What the hell? Are you on drugs?" But it was also a new high because I was getting off alcohol and drugs, so I needed to chase a new addiction. So when I went to the gym, it was like a new addiction. But I went to Planet Fitness on Stockton Fruits, if you know where that's at. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy there named Jose. He's the only one left, but he would tell you how many times I was there, and I would walk.
So here you are, rock bottom moment. And guys, I don't know, do you want to do something with Instagram? I know we got feedback over. You want to drop off maybe that one or? Cool. So I'm just like, I don't know, I'm pretty enthralled by this idea that at one point, like, I'm just trying to, and I'm sure people are watching and they're probably trying to figure out, like, really though, what is your starting point? Because I'm thinking, if I'm you, Leon, I'm thinking, if I come off alcohol, my body's gonna have a crazy withdrawal response. If I come off coke, my body's gonna have a crazy. If I come off the food, like I've come off the food, and I know that's a crazy. You were dealing with all of those, and do you go into like a treatment facility and get like locked down and IVs hooked up into you, or how did you do that?
So, I just did it. I just did it cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
I went to a mental health facility. I forget which one before, right? But I was like, I didn't want to stay there. It was like you had to stay there for 3 days or something, and I didn't want to stay there at all. Now this was because I was saying I was suicidal also, so I knew that they were gonna get me off the alcohol. So the last day that I drank, the next day, I just did a cold turkey, and it was horrible. I had like alcoholic tremors or DTs. Tremors, delusions for like 2 to 3 weeks, and
delusions too, like in hallucinations.
The worst ones you could think of. Some I don't want to repeat on camera, but I will tell you, and you guys will laugh. But because it's funny what I thought, because my dad was there, because I lived on my dad's floor at the time. So he was like, "Dude, you're tripping. You've been up, for the past 2 days walking nonstop, or you've been asleep, for 4 hours. You didn't go anywhere. None of this happened. Like for instance, once I thought I robbed a bank. I'm like, I robbed a bank. I know I robbed the bank. Can you take me to this bank over here? I forgot what area it was. He was like, no, shut the fuck up. You didn't rob no bank. I was saying this all day. He was like, you've been on the fucking floor. I've been watching you. You didn't rob a bank. The other hallucinations, I don't want to say on camera because they're embarrassing.
Yeah.
But they're funny, and I'll tell you off camera. So, and that wasn't true either. But and then I had tremors. I had shaking legs. I was throwing up blood. Leakage. It sucked. I shook. I was taking showers nonstop. My dad kind of helped me get through it, but I was walking nonstop. I was restless. But I knew once I was gonna, or excuse my language.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
No.
It was gonna mess me up. So when I did come off of it, I felt it bad, and I wanted to drink because every time before, you know, you get sober for a little bit and you start shaking and you wake up in the middle of the night. The only thing that's gonna make you feel better is alcohol. So and I used to be one of those people at AM PM. If you ever pull up to AM PM at 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning on Stockton and Fruitridge, I used to be out there waiting for the liquor store to open up.
Wow.
AM PM they would sell still reserves. I didn't drink beer, but if my liquor store didn't open up on time, I would be right there to get an 88-cent still reserve, drink it just to get the shake stopped. But
so I'm
pretty sporadic. Sorry about that.
I'm following everything. I know the viewers are too. I'm just blown away though, because I'll tell you right now, if any of you are struggling with drinking, I'm just gonna say this is like an anomaly right here. This is not a normal situation to be able to kick the addiction on your own. For some people, it's really dangerous to do it on your own. And this is why, because when your body is that much physically addicted and it needs alcohol to exist, when you take the alcohol out of your system, you will have all of the things that he just mentioned in terms of the physical withdrawals, in terms of the hallucinations, like all of that. And it's amazing to me that you did all of this on your dad's floor.
Yes.
And I see you, it's funny because it's like, I get it, man. Like, it's crazy because I feel like maybe what your attitude towards it is like all you could do is laugh. But this is like that's some seriously traumatic stuff to have gone through.
Yeah. At the time it was. Now I sit back and I laugh at it, because laughter also makes you feel better.
Yeah.
But it was, at the time it wasn't funny. It was messed up. I was rolling on his floor nonstop, man.
Wow.
Throwing up everywhere, pissing everywhere. That's another thing, man. That was messed up. I messed my dad's floor up.
Wow. But that's where we're talking about, we'll get to the 150-pound weight loss, but I need to paint the picture because, man, I'm just sitting here thinking, I can't even imagine getting sober in a situation like that on my own, let alone doing it the way you did. So here you are, you kick the alcohol, you're also kicking drugs though too, right?
Kicking the coke, because if you ever do cocaine and you ever drink together, they're best friends. You need them together all the time. One sobers you up and one takes off the edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yep.
And everyone else,
So you weren't just detoxing strictly off alcohol. You were detoxing off cocaine.
Cocaine and pills.
And pills. Xanax?
Xanax, sometimes Vicodins, but NyQuil. Everything else. Sleeping pills, just the bullshit to help me come down. I wasn't popping Xanax like kids do nowadays for fun. I'm doing it to come down from.
You were trapped.
Yeah.
You were trapped in a serious addiction cycle. And for some of you that are watching tonight, you can relate to this, or you have friends and family members that can relate to this. So I'm sure it's probably pulling your heartstrings as you hear it, as it is mine too. Especially my dad. I think you had a dad. I don't know about your dad, but I know for my father ended up dying of cirrhosis of the liver. He struggled with drugs and alcohol. And it sounds like you had addiction running in your family.
Yeah, my dad was big on meth. He's sober now, 29 years.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think that's where I caught you mention that on Facebook. But anyway, so this is pulling at my heartstrings. I'm just thinking about you, man. I'm just thinking, wow, this is amazing. Just that feat alone, rewrite my story. Getting sober off that, we'll just end the story there and call it a win, right? If you just got sober, that would have been enough. But you had more in the tank to do more than just get sober. You actually then on top of that said, now that I'm sober, I want to go out and I want to lose weight because I want to get my family back. That was your why.
Yeah. And I knew that it was going to make me feel better,
You knew what, to have your family back or to lose weight?
To lose weight, to replace, to start a new healthy habit. I knew that weight loss was going to make me feel better, just about myself.
Right.
So
for you, weight loss was about your why. As we talk about, the why is the most predictive element of success. Right now, we can ask you one question: why do you want to lose weight? And it predicts for us today whether you're going to be successful long term, not just at losing weight, but rewriting your story. And that answer has to be bigger than just I want to look better. it has to also be, there's some long-term things anchored to you. What I'm hearing for you, man, is that for you the long-term was, I want to have my family back, but I'm also realizing that I want to rebuild some self-confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, because I was sick of being a slob. I always called myself that, and I'm okay with that too. And so did some people. And I was a slob. I was like a 300-pound slob, very sloppy. I would wear the same work clothes all the time. Went to work sloppy. Wouldn't change. I got so sloppy and so big and so lazy that I remember I would just piss my pants instead of getting up going to the bathroom. That's nasty. I was like, man, I'm a damn big old slob. So I didn't want to be a slob no more. I was sick of just being a big, lonely slob. I know that's kind of, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's how I was, and I'm okay calling myself that because that's how I see myself.
Yeah. Do you still see yourself as a slob now?
No.
So that's part of what's happened in this transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to that. I just had to ask that while you were on that, because there is this incredible candor that you have, and honesty, which I love, about just what it was like to go through that, and also like what you thought about yourself. And like, I just think that for you to share that is so empowering for people, because we don't talk about this stuff. So just to hear all of it, I appreciate you for sharing all of that. And I'm just thinking to myself again, man, like, here you are going through this transformation, and just getting sober would have been enough for most people. That would have been enough to go get you a Lifetime movie or something. But but then you went out and you lost weight. So tell me, how did you go about? I know that you were going to the gym three times a day, but how did you even have the knowledge of what to eat, and where did you get all of that?
So I was looking at bodybuilders, and I was looking at, I forget her name, I think it was Danilyn Bailey. But I've seen bodybuilders. Bodybuilders are already ripped, right? But their dedication to their food and their prep was just like crazy, more than anyone I've ever seen, because they be staying straight on their meals, for the competition.
Right.
So I was looking at them like, what are they eating? Oh, they're eating meal preps. Okay, I was like, I can do that. And I just looked at the food that they made, and I was like, all right, I'll make that. So I made something similar, right? I think it was in the beginning, a sweet potato, broccoli, quinoa, and kale. I think it was soup. That simple. That was my first meal. And I made it, and I'm like, all right, if I eat this, I know I'm going to lose weight. I felt better, too. So that's how I kind of that is what helped me learn how to eat better.
So you took the inspiration from what they were eating, you tried it, and it's almost like I'm hearing for you that there's this part of you that you've come to accept. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's almost like there's a part of you that you've come to accept that whatever I do, speaking as Leon, whatever I do, I'm going to do it all in. And I have the ability to go all in. Like, I have the ability to go all in on 2 hot and readies. I have the ability to go in 7 minutes flat. I have the ability to go all in on a 5th or an 8th or a handle or whatever.
8-ball.
An 8-ball. I have the ability to go all in. But it's almost like you realize I also have the ability to use that for things that are good for me.
Yes.
So did that realization happen early on in your transformation? Did you ever realize that when you were doing it? Like, wait a minute, like, I could just switch it to this sweet potatoes and just switch my brain up?
No, not with the eating, but with the working out, yeah.
The working out.
Because I've always been like a straight up, like a hustler, on the court, basketball, and so I hustle my ass to the liquor store every day, right? So I knew that I would be able to hustle working out. Now, when I went all in on the meal preps, I knew that if I go all in and staying dedicated to the food, I would lose weight. Especially after a month when I seen 1 month I lost 30 pounds and I seen weight just flying off, I was like, okay, I got to stick to this. And I knew that, and I also didn't have one cheat meal for 7 months. So I was just like, I got to do this all because I felt like if I didn't do it quick enough, that also my family, my wife and my daughter, who knows what would happen next, if they ever wanted me back. I felt like I was losing time right then and there.
Were you in contact with them during that?
With my daughter, yes, because we had what is it called? Someone who you meet to give your kid intermediate?
Yeah. Mediator,
Mediator. So, yeah, my dad was that and my mom. So, I seen my daughter, but they would take her all the time because, I was already fucked up. Like I said, I'd drive her, go to the store, and they're like, what are you doing, bro? You just got her. You haven't seen her for a week. Are you dumb? And I didn't really care. I really didn't care.
But once you started losing weight and you became sober, you would see her for those visits. And what was that like for your daughter? Do you remember like to start seeing you sober and stuff?
Yeah, actually, I remember because what helped me is the first time she seen me, when she recognized it, she was like, "Dad, you look like a new person. You're changing."
How old was she then?
3.
3, but she was able to articulate that already at 3. She was able to see the change.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like to hear from her, man?
It made me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was starting to, instead of walking with her to the liquor store, you know, do push-ups with her on my back, play with her at the playground to exercise, doing a bunch of little stuff like that I'd never done. And she was like, "What the heck?" So, you know, that made me feel good.
Wow. And during this, you're not in contact with your wife, but she's hearing about this probably.
Yes, she heard from my mom a few times. So she's like, my mom was, you know, giving her hints. "Oh, you know, Lee's losing weight. He's looking better. You know, he's getting healthy." She's like, "Okay, good for him." So she was hearing about it, right? But she never seen me. And I was so scared to even talk to her. I mean, I haven't talked to her for 2 years. So she'd pull up and drop my kid off. At the time when I was drinking, she'd pull up and drop my kid off. Before I lost weight, you know, I was scared to talk to her. There we go. You know, I would go hide, have anxiety.
Mm.
But when I started losing weight, I was ready to talk to her.
Why were you scared to talk to her then?
Well, I was a freaking drunk.
So you knew if she
and
saw you.
And she's super blunt. Yeah,
so
she's straight up.
She would tell you.
Oh yeah, she'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, she would tell you. She would give it to you. So, but when she started getting it's just an amazing story. And again, like I keep going back to it. To even get sober, crazy, like book it, amazing rewriting your story. But on top of that, now to get locked in the way that you are, and the motivation you had to be reunited with your daughter and to get your family back, get your wife back, and you didn't talk to her for 2 years. This is stuff that we don't even see. Like you said, I wish there was a camera on that, because this is stuff that we see in movies, or I don't even think there's been a movie like this. But it's amazing. And you go through this process. What stands out to me is like what tenacious drive you must have had. Did you start working while you were losing the weight too, and like get that part of your life going again, or you were just focused on weight loss?
I've always been a functioning alcoholic, and so I always worked. Right, you have to pay for your habit.
Right.
So I've always worked. Yeah. So I've worked. I get fired. Then I get another job. Get fired. Get another job. Get fired. But I made sure, you know, if not, you know, get unemployment for a little bit. But I always had to work.
Mm-hmm. So when you were going through your weight loss and you were sober, were you working during that?
I was, and you know who helped me was this. I had a brand new job, Roxy Deli on C Street, so I worked there.
You worked over there?
Yeah. Well, this is my first month of sober, and I worked with Chris and Amy and Michael, and I forget the other guy, Brian. They were the managers, and Chris and Amy were the owners, and they accepted me, and they were supportive, and I helped them open the new one on our street. I left pretty in a shitty way. I just, you know, my whole life was changing. I got an opportunity to run a restaurant, being a chef. You know, I never made sandwiches. I didn't like sandwiches. I wanted to be creative, and I just left up. So we left. I left in a very shitty way. It was messed up, but you know, they did help me a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, they were super supportive.
Amazing. So they gave you a chance. Roxy Deli. Anyone that lives in Sac knows about Roxy Deli. Yeah, amazing. So you're working during that time, and so kind of catch me up now to. There was some crazy number I saw, like you lost 100 pounds in 5 months. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 100 pounds in 5 months.
So again, 100 pounds in 5 months. I suck at math. How much weight were you losing a month? Like 20, 30 pounds?
I lost 1 month and 30 pounds. You know, it fluctuated.
But that's a lot of weight to lose. Like, again, I interview people from The Biggest Loser. Like, that's Biggest Loser numbers to have lost that kind of weight. Incredible. You lost that weight. And at what point in your weight loss transformation are you presented with the opportunity to attempt to get your family back?
Oh, okay. So, you know, I was at about 197 pounds, maybe less, between 190 and 197 pounds. I was losing a lot of weight, and what happened was I just left the gym, Planet Fitness. I went to Foods Co. It was right there to go get something to drink, I believe, and I seen my wife, or not my wife, but you know. At the time, you know, I see my wife in there with my daughter, and I seen her looking at at something. Oh, she was looking at cake. So I go up to her, and I'm like, man, should I walk out, or should I just go up to her and apologize? I just walked right up to her, and I said, hey Liz, what's up? I'm sorry for being a piece of shit for 2 years, because I called her a lot of mean names, horrible shit, you know. So that's another thing why she left. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry for being a piece of shit, calling you all those names, you know. Hope you forgive me. And we ended up talking for like 2 hours.
Did she recognize you?
Yeah, she did, because, you know, my mom was in contact with her. So my mom would show her pictures and stuff, yeah.
But she hadn't seen you like that, like in front of her?
No.
Wow. So you saw her like
Yeah.
as fate would have it, or whatever. You saw her in the store trying to go get a drink, and you saw her, and there was that moment where that's another key moment of like the old you. Talk about rewriting your story. The old you, when you were drunk, would have ran and hid from her in that moment.
Yeah, I would have.
And that, but the sober you, and the you that was empowered from your transformation, went and said, "I'm going to confront this."
Yes.
And that was a big moment. Like, what would have happened if you never would have actually said
I don't know
something?
if we ever got back together.
Really?
Yeah, it was it was a big moment because then when I left that day, my daughter came back. She's like, "I can't believe you talked to my dad. You haven't talked to him forever." So that made also an impact on her. So,
For her to see that.
Yeah, and then for her mom to see it and hear it too, because her mom was there with her.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so, and we talked for like 2 hours.
In the store?
In her car. But we were in the store, I helped her,
And then you ended up talking for like 2 hours in the car, and then you leave that moment, and you guys just like picked back up from there, or it took some time?
Took some time.
I imagine it did.
I don't remember
the way your story goes, man, I'm sure there was more hurdles.
I don't remember how long it took, but it was she was having a rough time too already, right, in her own relationship. So it wasn't like she just straight up and left. So it took some time, but but it happened quick though too also.
And so when it happened and you guys ended up getting back together, I guess here's where my mind goes, and this is from my own stuff being in like I imagine for you, and I'm thinking of addiction too, like when you got back together with her, I'm sure like that put you in a vulnerable spot, like to like.
Yes, because you know what? I haven't talked to her for 2 years, and we used to trigger each other. So she was a trigger also, for me to go drink, do drugs, because I couldn't take her being so. She'd be so straight up, like, "You're gaining hella weight, you're getting fat, right? You need to stop looking like a slob, stop dressing like a slob." Little things that would trigger me to make me go drink, but she was totally correct. But we had to work through those, And when she came back to me, she was already stable. She had, great job at Safeway. She had a house, a car, and she left all that for me also.
Wow.
Because they were all her own. She just left. She came and lived with my dad, and then she lived with me, my dad, and my daughter. And after we stopped, working on our triggers, and we still have some, right? Because just little things.
Did you guys do this on your own, or you went to counseling?
We did on our own. We never went to counseling.
Oh,
So we had to get through it. The first year was kind of tough.
Because I can't even imagine.
Little shit can, make you remember your old ways.
And so I guess that's the point that I'm wondering. There had to have been moments when the two of you got back together where, like you said, you were triggered, she was triggered, and was it hard for you not to run back to food or run back to alcohol or like...
No, no, it wasn't hard. It was hard for me not to go back and, I was a dick my whole life being it was hard for me not to go back being a dick and just treating her like shit, with the trigger.
That was harder, like,
yeah.
So there wasn't as much of an urge to resist to go back to food or alcohol as a way to numb out, but there was this urge for you to be a dick and to be a jerk to her.
Yeah.
And so you were fighting that
instead. Yeah, because when you're an alcoholic, you have no filter. You just say whatever you want to say. When you're drugs.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you work through that one?
Just took some time.
Wow.
Bite my lip.
Yeah. I'm blown away again, guys. I mean, you look at all the elements of your story that you rewrote. I'm going to say it. This is my 21st interview. I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone that rewrote this many aspects of their life. I mean, there's been some crazy ones on here, but this is unbelievable. Yeah.
And I just want to say, and I'm happy she took me back too, but she didn't have to, because I called her a lot of mean things,
Yeah. Have you guys talked about that?
She told me a few things before, which I never thought, For instance, one thing I called her, which I feel like shit. I was drunk. I called her Stretch Armstrong after she had my daughter because her body was a little stretchy, right? She hated that. It hurt her feelings. I didn't know that. It hurt her feelings. She told my mom. And, that's one thing I have to deal with, right? She's like, "You're a piece of shit for doing that."
Because it gave him, yeah.
Because she just had a baby. Right. I shouldn't call her that. That was rude.
Right.
I never called her like anything like that since.
Mm-hmm. But those are things that are like, that you guys have had to obviously work through, because stuff like that just doesn't get forgotten overnight.
No.
Yeah. And so... it's just it blows me away the more that we hear from Leon's story, just about what you've been through, man, and to get your family back, and like you said, for your wife to be able to give you a second chance. And you made a lot of sacrifices to lose weight, and you made a lot of sacrifices to get sober, and she made a lot of sacrifices. What a big leap of faith that she took to get back with you. Did you feel like that was almost like a gift you were given, that you couldn't mess up or something?
Yeah, I know I couldn't mess up. You know, I had to show her that I could be a man that could help her. You know, I never helped her before, so I guess, you know, it was a gift, and I wanted to show her that I appreciated her. There we go. Mm-hmm. So, also, you know, and during this time when she gave all that up, I got us a house, a car. I paid off her other car. You know, I just did a lot of stuff for her to, you know, I had a lot of making up to do.
So it was making up, but it was showing her that you were...
That I can do it also.
Yeah.
You know, that she can rely on me.
But you guys transformed your entire life. She transformed her life, and you transformed your relationship. That's, I mean, the relationship you have today probably looks nothing like it did 4 years ago, right?
No.
Yeah. And is there ever a time when you're in this current relationship where you get overwhelmed with how different it is?
No. Because I don't miss the old one at all.
You don't miss the old one?
No.
Wow. Amazing. What about, like, sometimes people when they lose weight, Leon he went on to lose a total of 150 pounds, right?
Yeah.
You lost 150 pounds. Is there ever a time where you feel like, because you look like you're in great shape, do you ever feel kind of like you're in a different body? Like, does it feel like, is this really my body? Or like, do you ever have moments where you look in the mirror and you're kind of like, who is that guy?
Well, when you look in the mirror, I never think who's that guy. I always see the old picture sometimes, you know.
You see your old self.
Yeah, because, you know, you always kind of can see your old self. You're like, man, am I heavy? Am I this? Am I that? You know, you're never really satisfied.
Yeah, so there's still moments of that. How many of you guys can relate to that? Throw some likes and comments on there. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that too. I want to kind of get to, you know, again, like some more reflection of where you're at now. What an amazing story. Guys, too, as we're here, we got a couple guys here that are doing some amazing work. Aaron and Daniel with social media and videography tonight. They're helping us out with Instagram, too, which we're live on. If you guys can do me a favor and look, and just, if there's any questions that you guys see or any reaction, take a look, and then in a couple minutes I'm going to come back to you guys and let me know if there's some questions that you're seeing on the screen. Again, guys, this is Rewriting My Story with Dr. Mondo. We're here with Leoncio Heredia, and he's sharing his story. He's lost 150 pounds, but if you just tuned in, like, you need to go watch this when this is done. My gosh, there is some amazing, amazing elements to his story. He kicked tons of different addictions, alcohol, drugs. He kicked a bunch of different addictions, and on top of that, too, he got his family back. I mean, just an amazing, amazing story. So here you are now, and I gotta just ask you, like, I know that you're open with your story, but even tonight, like, in this moment right now, how are you feeling as you kind of like look back? What's it like? You just retold what it was like to kind of be in that old life, your old story, and you reflected on that. Like, what is it? What comes to your mind when you start to think about the old stuff?
Mostly when I just think about how much of a piece of shit I was. When I think of stuff like that, that's you know.
Yeah, it feels like that just keeps coming up for you. Like, you just think about yourself and you just feel like, man, how I treated
people was wrong. You know, that's when I talk about stuff like that. You know, I gotta be pretty honest with myself. So I was pretty much a piece of shit back then.
So how do you I guess not stay in a place of just straight up shame and beat yourself up to the point of, like you said, there's so many things where you hurt a lot of people and you're very aware of it, you own it. But how do you own it and not get lost in it to the point where it messes with you so much that you just like can't move?
Because I'm not that person no more, you know.
You're not that person?
No.
So when you look at the person who you are today versus who you were then, what are the major things that is different about who you are?
Then I'm sober.
Sober?
Yeah, that's what I look at, right? Sober, and I'm sober.
You're sober, but when you look at that old guy, you go, man, that guy was a jerk. That guy.
He was a drunk slob.
He was a drunk slob. What would you replace those with now? What beliefs do you have about yourself? You feel like you're still a jerk?
No, I mean, no, I don't feel like I'm a jerk. I just feel like I'm a sober guy who just tells his weight loss story, and I'm lost for words right now. I'm trying to figure out what to say.
Because it's hard for you to maybe like.
Yeah, think of it, because I don't think of myself as nothing like nothing like that. I just think of myself as a plant-based sober eater.
Yeah, but do you think of yourself now, like when you look at how you interact with people, do you consider yourself like, I mean, we're all imperfect, but would you consider yourself like, do you feel like, yeah, I'm a good person now, like I do good by people?
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like I'm nice. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm a good person. I don't like to call myself anything like that, you know. If someone calls me a good person, that's okay.
Right. But that's what you strive for.
Yeah. Or I just feel like I strive to be nice to everyone, right? Because I know how it is when everyone's hella rude to you, mean to you. A lot of people were like that to me. So I like to be nice to people. If someone wants to call me a good person, that's all right. You know, but I never want to like label myself as that, or not be just because I just don't. I don't like doing that. You know, I'm pretty humble. I don't like to ever do stuff like that.
Yeah, I can sense that. Again, now, what would you replace in your story in terms with? I'm going to show some more before and after pictures. You are no longer what you used to call a drunk slob. What would you call yourself now?
Plant-based chef. Plant-based chef. Yeah.
So this guy right here is a plant-based chef. So, you know, kind of take me through you're a plant-based chef. And is your mission now what? To help people kind of go through a similar transformation that you've gone through, or what?
Yeah, help people lose weight. Or even just to tell them, you know, I mean, I have a lot of people messaging me all around the world who want to lose weight, who have similar stories, but they don't know how to change it. And I'm just telling them, you know, you don't even have to do it through a plant-based eating. Because people lose weight in all different types of ways. Sure. Right? If you would get to that level, that's okay. Right? You can do that on your own. But I mean, I just try to help people lose weight when they message me. And if I have time to message them back, or if I don't, you know, I'll just tell them how to do it. And I just tell them all, like, stop eating shit, exercise, and I guarantee you'll lose weight. But you gotta really not eat it. You can't cheat.
So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, I'm like, what are you, they'll be like, well, I'm doing this. I said, what are you eating? So, well, I'll tell them, stop eat zero processed food, eat real food, right? If it came from a plant, don't eat it. If it comes from a plant, eat it. Or, well, you know what that quote, what is it?
Yeah.
If it was made in a plant,
right,
don't eat it. If it comes from a plant, eat it.
Oh, okay, I like that one. I haven't heard that one before. I like that.
Yeah. So I just tell people like that, you know, just eat simple food, and I guarantee you lose weight. Don't eat nothing processed. Drink water. People want to drink a bunch of, what are they called? You know, I have people all the time who want to drink Powerades and, you know, for their electrolytes. I'm like, just drink water. I mean, you could crack a bunch of coconut, to be honest.
Right. So you just keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, simple. I'm like, real food. That's it.
Real food.
Yeah. And they're like, well, what do I do to exercise? I said, you know what I did? I walked in the beginning. I just walked, and then I learned how to walk an incline. I learned how to walk fast, and then I ended up running, and then I did the Stairmaster, because eventually you'll get better at walking, right? So you start walking faster on the treadmill.
So again, I mean, Daniel, what are people saying? Anyone got some comments on there?
So many transformations with our transformation, so motivating. Just a lot of good. I'm here. Somebody, Esteban Munoz. I'm hearing the similar thing. He just did it. He's in a similar situation.
Esteban can relate to that. You know who Esteban is? Okay. Awesome.
Mary Tara Cross. She relates to that as well.
She can relate. There's people relating on there.
Yeah, it's just a lot of motivating stuff right here. Cool. Everybody's really just impressed with you, man.
Awesome.
Good job.
You guys again, and Leon's going to be on for a couple more minutes and taking some questions, guys. So if you have some questions right now, is the time to ask them of him. But again, just unbelievable. Like, so because you are so humble, part of what I want to tell you is that, like, and if you just tuned in, maybe I'll recap. So I want him to hear some of these words. I think it's important for you to hear. Like, this is Leon. When I think of Leon's story, and if you just tuned in and you missed it, what you missed out on was basically hearing that Leon took his biochemistry and he took the way his brain is wired, And he's probably one of the most disciplined, driven people that you could probably ever meet. Now, he could be disciplined and driven to do stuff that's good for him, and disciplined and driven to do things that are bad for him. But if Leon makes his mind up, you guys all better watch out, because he's going to do it. If Leon puts his mind to something, it's going to happen. And I mean, that's the biggest thing that stands out to me, because the feats that you have accomplished, there are people who will die from obesity. There are people that will die from drug addiction. There are people that will die from alcoholism. You overcame all of that. So the will and the drive and the discipline and the determination that you have, if you need to honestly realize how powerful that is. Do you realize how powerful that is inside of you?
No. No, I don't.
Well, I hope you're hearing me though, man, because honestly, it's beyond incredible. It's one of the most incredible transformation stories I've ever heard, period. And it's so powerful, and you need to continue to tell it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me tell it.
Well, I'm going to continue to encourage you to tell it. But determination, man, how many of you right now that are watching maybe have some things you can relate to with Leon, and you say to yourself, man, I can be pretty all or nothing. What if you channeled that for something positive? What if you channeled that instead of being in a behavioral loop? I can relate, man. Right now, I'm eating the same 4 things for lunch. I'm eating lunch at the same spot every day. Right now, it's healthy plant food. I eat at Queen Sheba. Shout out to the Queen, Zion, over at Queen Sheba off Broadway. I'm there every day for lunch. If you want to come see me and get a plate, I'm telling you, that's where I'm at. So my brain I like patterns. If I go for a run and I have a good run, I want to run again tomorrow, right? And maybe you're similar in that way. But when I used to eat Taco Bell, I had my order. I wasn't experimenting too much. Maybe I'd experiment a little bit with what I added to the order but really not even. I have my order. I used to go to the same restaurant over and over on Friday nights, a pizza place, and I order the same pizza every single time. Take that pizza down. So I think what sometimes we have to realize is that some of us want to try our whole lives to get rid of being all or nothing. And that's great. If you could live in the gray and find a way to do it, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, great. But for some of us, maybe it's because we have addictive genetics from our past or what. Sometimes you just need to own the way your brain works and use it to your advantage. And this is an example right here. This man's an example of him just saying, you know what? Man, my brain likes to do things over and over. I'm either going to that same corner store or I'm going to the gym 3 times. I mean, right? Is that you use it to your advantage?
Yeah, and I never thought of it like that. How you just put it.
Yeah, but that's what I hear, and what really comes up for me when I listen to Leon's story is that for some of you right now, you have the ability. Quit saying to yourself. Leon could have said to himself, "Man, I have no business being healthy. I'm a slob. I have no business being healthy." But instead, what he did is he took the tenacity that he applied to his addiction and he applied it to a new healthy addiction, right? Mm-hmm. Like you applied it to the gym, like getting after it at the gym.
Yes, I did.
So these are things that, again, for some of you out there, that may be what it takes. You're stuck in really, really tough, intricate patterns. I hope, though, tonight you realize that no matter how big the pattern is, that this man's been in patterns, I guarantee. Like if you have a story that you're more entrenched in more patterns and more addictions than Leon, then I'm coming to your house. I don't care where you live. And I'm going to interview you because we're going to help you rewrite your story. But the point is that not only has he been there, but he's been probably to places you've never been. So if you're saying to yourself, you can't change those patterns, you can't get off whatever drugs or the food addiction that you're in, please listen to this man's story. And you know what? If your brain says, I want to hear this story again and again and again and again because it's so darn inspiring, then watch it again and again and again. And if you want to reach out to him because I can tell you right now that I reached right out to you and you reached right back and I just said, hey, I want to meet you. I want to start getting you connected to people in this area. And I could tell, man, it seems like you have a heart to help people.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I also like to, I help when people want recipes, I help them with that too. I mean, I don't even charge no one. Never, people tell me shit, and I don't even want to do that, right? Because recipes should just be simple, free. And people ask me for meal prep ideas, I tell them that too, right away, you know.
Yeah, so this is, again, I mean, some of you are not in the Sacramento area, so you're not going to be able to utilize his meal prep service. But if you're around the country, you're able to utilize the inspiration from his story. That part is free. The recipes that he has, he's saying he'll even share recipes with you. You can follow him on Facebook. You can follow him on Instagram. Daniel, before we wind down here, is there any other questions that people are having right now?
Yep, we got a few. Peg Olson, you said you're 90% plant-based. What made you go to 100%? Or how did you do that?
How did I?
Mm-hmm.
I stopped like caring for animal protein. You know, the smells turned me off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the question again was, you used to be 90% plant-based, now you're 100% plant-based. Yeah. What changed you? And for you, what changed for you was there became an aversion to animal protein.
It just stank. It just stunk.
If there's someone that puts a steak in front of you right now, is that like a battle of willpower to not eat the steak?
No. People do that all the time just to mess with me. You know, I have a lot of friends who love meat.
Burgers too. What if people put burgers in front of you?
I get beyond one. Right? If I want something, be honest.
What if people put the Little Caesars hot and ready in front of you?
I almost throw up. It stinks.
Okay.
That's because I had bad experiences with it.
So again, that's really cool. That's a great question, Peg, and I thank you for tuning in, Peg, tonight. Good to hear from you. And but yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you one of the biggest misconceptions about plant-based, and I know this show's not all about plant-based, but we got two plant-based guys here. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is people think it's about willpower. You get to a certain point, I'm the same way. Put carnitas in front of me. Put steak in front of me. Put what... I'm telling you, it doesn't even register for me. I used to be addicted to most of those things I just mentioned. I couldn't resist them. So again, there's something that happens when you detox from those things. And the same goes for cheese. When you detox from it, you don't want it, right?
No, you don't.
So what other questions we got here, Daniel?
I'm Laura Brissino.
Mm-hmm.
I'm plant-based. We don't lose weight. What am I doing wrong? And she said, congratulations.
So again, Laura's saying congratulations.
Thank you.
And to Leon for his weight loss. But she's saying, hey, I'm plant-based, but I'm struggling to lose weight. I know that you probably need to know more about what Laura's eating on a daily basis and things like that. And Laura, maybe you can connect with Leon outside of this. But right off the bat, when you find people are going plant-based but they're still struggling to lose weight, as a chef, what do you typically find to be the problem?
Sometimes people think plant-based is also highly processed vegan food. I have a lot of that. Hey, I'm trying to go plant-based, but I'm getting all these Gardein products and I'm not losing weight. I'm like, well, yeah, those are only good in moderation, right?
Yes.
When you want a cheat meal or something, you can't put that in your meal preps every day.
Okay, so that's really important to mention again. We've had this conversation before with other folks too, but there's a difference between being vegan and being plant-based. And a big misconception, as Leon's saying, is that to be vegan is to be healthier. Now, granted, there's definitely links with heart disease and all the major diseases that you can get, including cancer, from eating meat and eating cheese. So if you kick that out of your diet, that's great. But if you're talking about weight loss and getting healthier, you probably need to cut some other things out. Forks over knives, like true plant-based, also too eliminates oils, and there's lots of different ways to lose weight where they talk about limiting the amount even of fats, natural fats that you take in during your weight loss phases. And what Leon's saying is that we're not even talking about that. We're talking about processed foods. So examine the amount of fats that you're taking in. Now, when you reach your ideal weight, then by all means, have the nuts, have the seeds, have the avocado. Just know that some of that stuff might slow your weight loss process down now. And if you have processed foods, by all means, get that stuff out of your diet. If you're trying to lose weight, if this is about optimal health and weight loss, that stuff's not going to help you. Do we have any more questions? here too, Daniel?
Yeah, a really drawn out one. Maureen Robert Powers. She actually just kind of
Hey,
explained.
Maureen.
I can't relate to being overweight as a child because I wasn't. I was thin and I looked good until my 30s. I'm now 50 and double the weight I was at 25. I'm an emotional, depressed, and miserable person because I let myself get to this point. I hate myself for becoming as overweight as I've become. So how do I deal with that? Going from thin to overweight for 7 years, I've tried so hard and nothing seems to work. I'm ready to give up on everything.
So I guess the part of Maureen's story, thank you for writing that, Maureen, and I'm glad that you tuned in tonight. Part of what you probably relate to in Maureen's story, I imagine, is being like that depressed and
Yes.
yeah.
I was very depressed with that too. You know, when you don't even want to live, you don't want to get up. All you want to do is you eat, and then you only want to throw up, look at yourself, and you're mad. But you got to, if you send me a message, I can help you. And I can see what you're eating, and I can tell you, what helped me lose weight.
So Maureen, like, that's big. Send him a message, and Leon, we're gonna put a link to his Facebook in here. If there isn't already a link, we'll put a link into there. But anything that you want to say to her, just from like a standpoint of encouragement, like, you know what it's like to be that depressed. You know what it's like.
Yeah, I do know what it's like to be that depressed, and it sucks. And you don't, like you said earlier, you just want to give up, but don't give up. Just what can make you feel a lot better too is if you fast for a day. And fast for a day, and even if you go on drink a few juices for a few days, if you go on a juice fast for a few days, it might even make you feel better mentally. Send me a message, and then we can see what you're eating, and I can help you write you out some meal prep recipes.
Yeah. So I've heard that before. We had a guest on the show before, Justin Lacey, who actually went on like a 60-day or some crazy water fast for like.
Oh man, I always wanted to do a water fast.
Yeah. I'll hook you up with him because this guy has lost over 200 and some odd pounds. He's an ultra marathon runner and he's amazing. But yeah, he was into water fasting and talking about what that can do for you. That's an interesting suggestion. I hadn't thought about that too. But here's one thing I'll say about that too, Maureen. A lot of times we start to think in the United States that in order to treat the physical, we got to go to like a physical doctor. In order to treat the mental, we got to go to a mental health doctor. They're all interconnected. So check with your doctor before you fast, or check with your medical professionals, all of that stuff to be said. But what I think sometimes we don't realize is that by changing what we put into our bodies and getting healthier physically, it does change the mental part too. So sometimes just the act of really shifting what you're putting into your body can almost be like an antidepressant. And that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that can really shift some things for you. Any other questions that we have here before we end tonight? Guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
That's just a whole bunch of encouraging words.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, a bunch of encouraging words. So I'm going to let you read those. So Leon is going to come back on to the Facebook after it's published, and he's going to share it some more places, and he's going to drop in. He'll comment on those. But again, I want to thank you so much, man, for coming in tonight. How was this for you? Yeah.
It was good. It
Yeah.
was different. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was good to have professionals doing it. I liked it.
Yeah. Again, man, I mean, there's more things just to reflect on, but I know you're humble. Stay humble, but don't be afraid to give yourself some credit. Like, you have a tremendous, tremendous story, and people need to hear it. So I'm just really glad that you shared it tonight. You're always honest on social media, but I just think what was cool tonight is that you got a chance to tell your story in a deeper way that maybe people have never heard, and I'm sure there's so much people relate to, so I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So this is what we do here on Rewriting My Story. We basically highlight people who've gone through health transformations. There's a thing that happens in this room a lot, because when I'm doing therapy, often we'll talk about things that are so not related to weight loss, but they're related to weight loss. And so I'll say to people, like, you get how this thing we're talking about right here, this thing with depression, this thing with how you use alcohol, or you get how this thing with your self-confidence, or this thing with your self-esteem or your self-worth, you get how it's connected to the food, right? And they'll go, I think so, yeah, help me figure that out. This is the conversations we need to have true change. We could sit, there's plenty of YouTube channels and Facebook shows that tell you what to eat. It's good. Go check it out. But this is about something different. there is this belief that I have from doing the research that in order to complete a true transformation, you need to do the internal work too, like Leon has done. So for some of you today, yes, it's about calories in, it's about calories out, but more than that, it's about also having the courage to do what Leon did, which is to look at his entire life and say, I need to make a change. And if you look at Leon's story, it wasn't just all of a sudden, I need to make a change. Some of you need to hit rock bottom. And when you hit rock bottom, what's going to happen is the thing that you care most about in life will become most visible to you, like the vision that you had of your family. And you're going to see really clearly that if you don't change, you don't take accountability for your actions, you'll see that the thing that you care the most about can be gone just like that. And for some of you in those moments right now, I know it's scary, I know it's hopeless, I know you feel like giving up, just like Maureen said, but I hope you can take this man's story here tonight and translate it into some hope for you. Because you can rewrite your story. This is not just something that Leon does, or that Josh Lajani or Justin Lacey or any of my previous guests. It's not just something for them. It's something that you can do as well. And what we love is we love to hear your feedback. So if you're in the process of rewriting your story, let us know. And if this was really helpful and encouraging for you, let us know in the comments below, and feel free to share it. That would only help it get out to more people. You don't know, I'm telling you, week after week, you do not know. When you share this video, you don't know who sees it. Sometimes you won't know for a while, but it changes people when they get in front of it, when they hear these stories. And it's all because of these amazing guests that we have on. So again, thank you so much to Leon tonight for being here.
Thank you.
So awesome. Thank you to Daniel and Aaron for giving up their time here tonight and helping out behind the scenes.
Thank them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Did an amazing job. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Next week, we have an amazing guy who transformed his entire life and is now an amazing ultramarathon runner. His name is Gary Stroller, and you'll hear more about his story next week. Some of you already know Gary, Missing Chins Running Club out there. I know you guys know about Gary. But Gary's amazing, and you're going to hear his story next week on Rewriting My Story with Dr. Mondo. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, make sure you like the page so you can stay fresh with our notifications when we go live. But we'll be back again, same time, same place, 6 o'clock if you're on the West Coast, 9 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, and if you're on Central Time, that's 8 o'clock your time. That's when we go live. And again, we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Daniel, hit that button, and we are ready to be out. Again, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Thank you.